Welcome back to the table. I'm Chef Alex Reethof, and we're here in Guy T. Gunner's kitchen filming a great show with an incredible kitchen on my favorite meal, brunch. And you can't have brunch without having egg frittata, which is an egg pizza with all my favorite toppings on it, with cheese and fresh tomatoes and basil, all melted into pizza style. We're also going to accompany that with one of my favorite ceviche style salads, which is made with lobster, king crab, and a mahi-mahi, all melded in with a lime vinaigrette with avocado. We're going to also do my favorite French toast. And it's going to be large wedges of French toast that are going to have a syrup of raspberry and maple. You can't have brunch without one of my favorite cocktails, a pomosa. So we're going to make that pomosa as soon as we come back, so stay with us. Welcome back to the table. I'm Chef Alex Reethof. Let's get brunch started off right. And the right way to start it is with a pomosa. So we're gonna take a few of my favorite ingredients here, and no pomosa is right without pomegranate juice. We're gonna add some champagne or your favorite bubbly. We're gonna take fresh orange juice. We're gonna mix these together on ice, good and refreshing, and we're gonna garnish it with blood orange. And blood orange is a Mediterranean orange that is brilliant red in the inside. It's got a very sweet juice, and it was actually somewhat made famous by Julia Childs. Used a lot in French sauces and so forth. So here, let's get started. So I'm gonna take my orange juice. I'm gonna add some ice to my orange juice and get it chilled down. I'm gonna put it right into my pitcher. It's a very, very simple drink that we're gonna make, and you can make it in large batches and have it ready for anybody who's there coming around. I'm gonna take some pomegranate juice, and this is very strong, very full of antioxidants, a great alternative to cranberry, and it has deep, deep, rich color, and you can see it. You can see it coming into the orange juice and how it makes a nice little blend. Isn't that a beautiful color? All right, so I'll put this aside. And of course, we have to do the ceremonial opening of the champagne. And I'll pour a good dose of the champagne. Do you see that just bubbling right on up? Right into our pomosa. Take a little spoon and stir, just to get it all mixed in. All right, and then we're gonna pour it into our glasses and garnish with a little blood orange. Oh, it smells wonderful. Just gets me in the mood for brunch. So I'll take a blood orange right here. Oh, look at that wonderful color. I'll give it a little slice right off the side, and it will fit right on the side of our glass. So what a great way to start off our brunch. Oh, that's delightful. How refreshing and healthy. So when we come back, we're gonna put together our seafood ceviche with lobster, king crab, and mahi-mahi, all blended in our lime vinaigrette because it needs to sit a little while to mature and meld. So stay with us. For this recipe, we need lobster, cooked lobster. We've got king crab, and I'm using mahi-mahi as the fish. I've got capers, a little bit of garlic. I've got some celery for some crunch. We're gonna use some peppers, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about jalapenos versus poblano. We're gonna add in some diced avocado, and I'll show you a little method with that. And then we're gonna add citrus to this. It's gonna be lime and lemon to this, and it's gonna help us give a little bit of extra, it'll help cook or chemically cook our fish. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get my celery and everything else into my bowl. So I'm gonna take the celery, and I wanna show you a nice little method to cut celery. So you take your knife, and you simply make a few little stripes down through the celery, going the whole length of the celery, and you can see this is gonna be a really easy way to not have to fumble with the celery. I'll take that off, and then I just cut it like this, bring it around, and then you can see I can make some nice fine little dices, trying to keep my fingers out of the way. I curl my fingers under and go right down the celery, and you can see that I make nice uniform little dices that will be a great little extra crunch in my recipe. I'll take this off my knife, and this goes right into my bowl. Here we go. Next, I'm going to take some capers. And capers are lovely. They're almost like a pickle, but they're really small. They got a nice little saltiness to it. And I'm going to take some capers into a little pile here, and I'm just going to kind of chop them up a little bit. Just want to kind of cut them in half so that they can disperse throughout and add their flavorings throughout the whole seafood cocktail. And in the bowl it goes, and I'll just keep this rolling. All right, next I'm going to use, I have poblano peppers, jalapeno peppers. They're both bright green, dark green. They both have a lot of flavor, and they have different heat intensities. For this dish, I don't want it to be really hot, so I'm gonna forego the jalapeno because that's just a few steps up on the heat scale. And I'm gonna take a little poblano. So I'm gonna take some poblano, and you can see it's got a gorgeous thin pulp, and I'm gonna cut it down, and we're gonna dice it, kind of fine dice it. I'm gonna take all the seeds out because the seeds contain a little bit extra heat that I don't think we need in this dish for the delicate flavor of the seafood. And I'll make some nice little julienne strips, and I'll cross-cut those julienne strips to make the nice little fine dice so you get just a hint of pepper in this dish and not a whole big mouthful. And that's all part of the delicate flavors. We don't want to overpower our seafood that we're putting, the delicate seafood that we're putting in this dish. So I've got just enough in there. I'm going to take a little bit of garlic. I'm going to just do a little smash with that garlic, and then I'll chop it up so that it's nice and fine, and so we don't get a mouthful of garlic as well, but it'll blend in throughout the whole dish. In we go. All right, so now let's take a look at some of the seafood that we have here. I'm going to take this mahi, and mahi is actually dolphin, and it's a fish versus a mammal. It's a great fish to use because it's very nice and firm fleshed. And I'm going to make some nice long thin strips, and then I'm going to cut it at a little bit of an angle because that'll be a great way for it to look as you can see this kind of fine diced fish going into our dish. And this will absorb a lot of our acid and actually turn from a clear look to a more of an opaque look. And that opaque look is brought on by the use of that acid of the lime and of the lemon. I'd like to next show you how to use a avocado. We'll take that little top off the avocado, and I'm going to cut it right down through the middle. Roll it around my knife. Notice my knife is still. You twist this, and out is this beautiful flesh, right? To get the seed out, you simply take your knife, give it a little jump on there, and bingo, out comes the seed. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use this cup of the avocado to create our very easily. We're going to create some diagonals for our avocado, and I'm going to just go right through, and you can see that I'm going right in the cup, using the cup as holding this all together. Try not to cut through the cup into your hand, and all one does is just take the avocado and you just kind of give it a little light squeeze, and you'll see that it comes out in all by itself. If you're gentle with it, it'll just fall right on out into your dish in perfect little diagonals. See how we're doing this? Not bad, huh? And hopefully you're not getting too dirty. Very good. So we're moving right along. I also want to take some cilantro. And cilantro is great because it has a nice color to it, but it also has great flavor that can add to this. So I'm going to take the cilantro and I'm going to try to get mostly leaves to pull off the top. And I can see that there's some more leaves in here. I'll pull those off. And then I'm going to give this a nice coarse chop. And coarse is nice because we're going to have big chunks of seafood in this. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. All right. And you can see this is going to give us great color. And we're going to put this right on in. All right. Now, let's move on to lobster. Lobster is just a beautiful, delicate meat, flesh. And what we have here are large chunks of the claw. Okay, and in order to make it kind of bite-sized, I'm going to cut some of those claws down a little bit. And then I've got also some knuckle meat in here as well. And you can see the knuckle meat looks really great right here. Great size, got big chunks, just the right size bite chunks that we're looking for in this. And I'll just take these and just kind of give them a little diagonal slice, get them into our mixture. All right, very good. Now I'm going to move on to my crab. You can use king crab. This is a full king crab leg with the tendon taken out of it. King crab is a great one because it holds itself well, holds it together, and you can see I can make it about the same size piece as my lobster. So if I take a piece of lobster out, you see I've got them about the same size. Great to make the dish look kind of congruous. So here we go. I've got another big old chunk of king. You can also use jumbo lump, which is part of the blue crab, part of the other crab family, and that will go well in this dish too. It's a little bit more delicate than what we have here. This is the knuckle, by the way. It's also a great piece of meat. Doesn't quite have the color. It's a kind of a white color, so it's good to have both of those in there. All right, so at this point in time, I want to make sure I get some good citrus flavor. And then what I'm going to do with that citrus flavor is I'm going to take the outermost layer off of this citrus, and that has all the oils in it from this lemon. And that has the smell is just remarkable. So we're going to add those little zests into this, and that's going to add great citrus depth to it. But at the same time, I'm going to also do this to my lime, so that'll give us nice little green chunks in there too, little green specks that are going to also come out in our dish. At the same time, I want to roll this fruit, and all of it's in there. So I'm going to roll this so that I can get all the juice out of it that I can, because we want all that juice to go into our dish. So I'm going to cut this once they're nice and soft. I'm going to cut this open. Beautiful looking lemon. Take my lemon squeezer, put the flat side in, and we're going to squeeze it right down over. Very good. So I've got some good juice there. Squeeze that whole lemon in there. We need all of that in. Excellent. And we're going to take our lime. I'm going to show you a different technique for getting the lime juice out. Instead of using a squeezer, I want to take a fork. And you can put that right in the middle. Pour it in there and just start squeezing. And watch it all come out. All that juice just come out of that lime and just kind of twist and break open all those sections. Look at it, still dripping. Isn't it awesome? We can get a great amount of juice out of this by using the fork, sometimes better than if you use a squeezer. Here we go again. I'll do one more. Oh, yeah. By the way, if you have a little cut on your hand, this juice will find that cut. All right, very good. So listen, what we have here is our seafood cocktail that we need to chill. It needs time to chill. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the citrus do its work. As I put this in the refrigerator, when we come back, we're going to move on to doing a great French toast using challah bread. We're going to soak it in a great egg wash with cinnamon, other spices, and then we're going to top it off with a raspberry syrup that we're going to make. So stay with us. We'll be right back. for French toast. For this recipe, you're gonna need challah bread, which is an egg bread that's braided. It's a nice dense bread, it's firm, it holds up really well when we cook it. It also allows us to have a nice browning to it. We're gonna also need cinnamon for our egg wash, some sugar, some eggs, milk, and some vanilla as well to add a little bit of flavor to it. We're gonna use butter, some good butter into our pan in order to saute and get that browning action going. So let's get started. We're gonna take our milk and put it in well, first I'm gonna start with my cinnamon. Put some cinnamon in the bottom of the bowl, just enough to get some really good flavor. I'm gonna take a little bit of sugar, actually a good bit of sugar. I'm gonna put it in our bowl so we have some good sweetness to it. And then I'm gonna take my eggs. I'll crack them on the side. And then I'll add some milk. I'll give this a little stir. With our wire whisk. Get that cinnamon all mixed in with it. That'll take some of the lumpiness out of it when we add our milk to it. That's looking really good. Add some milk. There we go. And then I'll add a touch of vanilla just to give it a little added depth. Okay. We'll stir that up real well. And then we move on to cutting our bread into nice large wedges. And you see the great color and the mixture, the cinnamon has mixed in throughout the whole egg wash. Okay, very good. Now, we've got that ready to go. What we're gonna do is take this challah bread, and I'm gonna cut off the end. You can save that for later if you want, but we're gonna make some nice wedges. So I start with an angle, and then I bring it on looking like this. So then I take a nice angle this way, and you can see that this is how it sits. So I have 3 different sides, and then I go straight down with this one. So, doesn't that look great? And this is the way we're gonna start. But before we saute this, I want to introduce my good friend, Chef Shay Markwell. Come on, Shay, he's gonna help me make this. Good to see you again, Shay. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, we're gonna drop it in, and we're gonna get it soaked up. It's gonna soak up a lot of our egg wash. Meanwhile, you're gonna put some butter in the pan. We've got a pan already preheated. And here we go. We're just gonna get them all going. Got a nice hot pan. And you wanna take one of those and drop them in?
Yeah.
We'll let them soak up, and he'll toss those around. Very good. While Shay takes care of that, and you can see that wonderful sizzle going on, we're gonna make our berry that goes on top. I'll just move a few things around. So we got these wonderful berries. I've got some red raspberries, some golden raspberries, and some blueberries. And we're gonna make a little bit of we're gonna take some real maple syrup, which is made right from maple trees, and I believe they take 80 gallons of maple sap in order to reduce it down to 1 gallon of maple syrup. This is the real thing right here. It's lovely, you got a beautiful flavor, and it's really nice and sweet. So we'll take this and we'll just put it right over our fruit. And we're gonna give this just a little bit of time to just marry with one another. So we're gonna take some of the fruit flavor, will seep out into the syrup, and the syrup will then also penetrate the fruit. So here we go.
Be a great
so
flavor.
what we have, Shay, it looked like you did a great job with that, getting some color on each
about
side. What we're gonna do with this dish is I'm gonna set this bowl aside. Shay, when they're done, we'll put them in another pan,
Okay,
put them in our warming unit,
great.
and we're gonna come back later and plate it all up at the end with a little powdered sugar on it.
That's great.
It'll look lovely on our plate. It's got some great height to it. And there we go. Doesn't that look great? Already looks great. So you got some good bread to it. There you go, look at that, all stacked up. So when we come back, we're gonna move on and do the frittata. And now it's time for frittata. So what we have here is I've got a little bit of basil that's julienne. I've got eggs. I've got Parmesan cheese. I've got mozzarella cheese, fontina cheese. I've also got some halved heirloom cherry tomatoes. I got a little bit of Yukon Gold potatoes, some butter, salt, pepper, and I've got some smoked paprika and a little bit of garlic. So let's start assembling what we're gonna do here. The first thing we're gonna do is I need to get some potatoes cooking. So I'm gonna take some of my butter and move over to my pan. And I'm gonna get the butter in the pan with a little bit of olive oil. And I'll add some olive oil in the pan as well. That makes it so that the butter doesn't burn. And I need to saute some Yukon Gold potatoes, which are really, I cut up some fingerling potatoes in a nice small dice. And I'll put these in my pan and we'll get those sauteing real well. Okay, we'll get those nice and soft. So, from that point, while those are going, I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna start making my eggs. So I'm gonna take my eggs and I'm gonna crack them into my pan. And I'm gonna take about 6 eggs to make this one big frittata pizza. I'm gonna take a wire whisk, give it a little whisk, stir these up. I'm gonna add some milk, just to break up the eggs a little bit. I'm gonna add some salt, some pepper, mix this all in. And now we're ready to make our crust of our frittata and our pizza. I'm gonna take a little bit of smoked paprika. I'm gonna mix that in right with our sauteing potatoes. And at this point in time is a great time for me to come on and put a little garlic going. Doesn't that look great? See that great sizzle going on? So I'm gonna take some garlic and I'm gonna just give it a little smash. And we're gonna add that in with our basil. Oh yeah, looks great. So I wanna saute this just a little bit. I don't want it to brown, so I wanna make sure our potatoes are slightly cooked. We're gonna toss this around. Oh, they're starting to turn brown on me, looking great, aren't they? That smoked paprika is adding some flavor to our oils. And at this point in time, I'm gonna move in with our egg mixture. And this is gonna be just like the crust of a pizza. I'm gonna take this and move some of these things around so that they're a nice even distribution. And at this point is when we add in our toppings, just like a pizza. I'm gonna add some fresh basil that's been nicely julienned. I'm gonna take some of our tomatoes and we're just gonna sprinkle these wonderful multicolored heirloom cherry tomatoes all over our pizza, our frittata. Oh, they look great. I'm gonna use all of them. They're so good. And now it's time for the cheese. So I'm gonna take a little bit of mozzarella. I'm gonna sprinkle it all around. I'm gonna make sure I've got some light coverage on it because we don't wanna have too much cheese in our brunch of one cheese. We got plenty of cheese. And I've got some Reggiano Parmigiana. Sprinkle it around. And you can see all the time we're cooking our eggs and underneath. So we're getting a nice little crust to it. It's not browning, not burning. I mean, I get a little fontina right now. Oh, that looks awesome. All right, at this point in time, we take this, where our frittata is, we're gonna take it and put it under the broiler so they can cook from the top, melt the cheese, get a little browning, and resemble more of a pizza. All right, so here we go. We're going into the oven. Oh, we're gonna give it 3 or 4 minutes in the oven until we get a nice browning. And when we come back, we are gonna plate up this whole brunch extravaganza and we're gonna give it a sample. So stay with us, you don't wanna miss it. We'll be right back. Now that our frittata is done, I'm going to pull it out of the oven and let it rest just a few minutes while we go ahead and assemble all the rest of our great dishes for our brunch. We're going to move on to our lobster crab ceviche. And now's the time when we're going to add some olive oil, salt, and pepper to it to give it its last bit of seasoning. We want to get it plenty of flavor in this to balance that citrus. And I'm going to add some olive oil to just give it a nice little glisten. And we'll mix that all up. And you can see the citrus down here, and also the mahi is starting to turn a nice opaque color. Oh, doesn't that just look delightful? So at this point, when we're all together, the avocado, everything's glistening, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take a spoon, and I'm going to put it into our glasses. So I'm going to just put some of this down in there, and you're going to see this build up nicely. I've got it garnished with red Belgian endive and big chunks of seafood and crab and lobster. And look how that just kind of beams right out over top. And make sure that we have plenty for everybody. This is one of those dishes you don't want to go shy on. And there we go. We are ready. All right, from here, we're going to take it and we're going to go and we're going to plate up our French toast. So I'm going to take a couple of the French toast that's been warming for us. I'm going to put it on our plate right in the center. And we have our berry maple syrup all ready to go. It's been melding for us and marinating for a good 5-10 minutes. And I'm going to just bury this over. Oh, look at those berries just rolling on down. I've got white raspberries, I've got red raspberries, blueberries. Isn't that a great color? Let me get some of this on here as well. And then I'll take a little shaker of powdered sugar and I'll just give it a big old splash all the way around the plate. Boy, that looks great. Nice little powder of smoke. Okay, now let's go back to our frittata. With our frittata, what we want to do is cut out a nice wedge. And you can see the cheese is melted over top. And it's cooked all the way through. Here we go. I've got a nice big piece. I'm going to put it on our plate. Just like this. Doesn't that look lovely? And this is how we garnish our brunch. I'm going to take a little bit of scallion, julienne, real fine, and I'll just put it all over our plate. Doesn't that look lovely? It's been wonderful bringing this brunch to you and working in this great kitchen at Guy T. Gunner's in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Chef Alex Reethof, bringing you back to the table.